A man has just awakened the most powerful hidden class in history, but he's desperately mashing the delete character button, hoping to correct their combat techniques. However, Jun Yeon, known as the god of PC gaming, immediately demonstrates his extraordinary. Jae-yong was jumping off the cliff. A sinister smile appeared on his lips. In the next instant, he clicked the logout button, disconnecting himself. Surely, the next morning, videos about the madman were all over major video sites, sparking lively discussions among internet users. Of course, the discussions included many keyboard warriors. Since the green-haired guy was hunted by the protagonist, he started paying attention to the official site. He discovered that there were more than 700 similar complaints, so he decided to organize a campaign to hunt down the hunter. If any player is interested, please wait in the channel I created. Just a few minutes after the post was published, more than a dozen players who had grudges against the protagonist gathered in the plaza of Newtown B. The green-haired guy announced, "Guys, let's start the crusade against the troll. Let's begin the campaign now." But as soon as it started, a quest activated for everyone in Town B. Suddenly, all players in the new town received the same quest. The greatest appeal of the holographic game Arcadia is its ability to generate stories based on user actions. It not only captures in-game messages, but also stories from online discussions and implements them in the game, all thanks to the game's artificial intelligence. Alice, the main quest, preparing for the Forgotten Darkness, activated with a quest notification. Gaming talent utilizes the most basic execution skill, yet makes it appear as a swift sword strike. The second beginner quest is to all players in Newtown B must capture the unidentified serial butcher. After sleeping for 12 hours, Jun Yeon finally awoke. As soon as he opened the official Arcadia website, an expression of indescribable frustration appeared on his face. Hunter's special event, official bounty, capture the butcher. Surprisingly, there were over 2,000 comments below. I made 2,000 enemies while I was asleep. I really have to give up the mission of hunting newbies. Looking at the expensive game capsule he bought with a high financing fee next to him, he wondered, how am I going to pay the monthly fee of 920,000? Thus, Jung Jae-young logged into the game, and looking at the forest where the slimes lived, he sighed. This is such a perfect place to hunt newbies. Just then, a battered slime approached him, seemingly being chased by adventurers. I told you not to choose the class of wizard. You can't even chase after a slime. When the two rookies located the slime, they noticed another player standing nearby. Nearby, the warrior advised, "Sir, this is our prey, and stealing kills is unethical." Jun Yeon glanced at the slime, and seeing its pitiful eyes, his gaze suddenly turned icy, suddenly freezing cold. He pulled up his hood and walked toward the two players. "Sir, are you really going to fight us?" The wizard felt a strange sense of familiarity. This guy's appearance seems very familiar. Seeing that the protagonist didn't stop, the rookie warrior immediately stepped forward to block him and read 100 books in the library. While most players skimmed the books to quickly finish the quest, the protagonist pushed him, but the protagonist remained silent. The next second, Jun Jae-young smiled maliciously as the system notified the rookie warrior with a punishment with a red name for initiating an attack. Jun Yeon seized the opportunity to throw himself on the ground and play the victim. "Brothers in the forest, come out. I'm down. The butcher from the official website is right in front of me." In the next moment, thousands of eyes turned toward the source of the sound. His desire for the event rewards was completely obvious. Just when the red-named warrior was about to offer excuses, Jun Yeon, he had already fled with the slime. The novice mage's mind finally cleared. I knew that the man in the black robe looked familiar. He's the butcher of newbies, as posted on the official site. But by the time he realized it, it was already too late. The edge of the cliff suddenly erupted in bright flames. Due to the altercation elsewhere, Jun fled deeper into the forest with the slime. "Little one, you're safe now. Your wounds should heal automatically, right?" Then a pop-up window appeared. "Congratulations on rescuing the slime. Your affinity with the slime species has reached the maximum value." Predictably, after all, Jun Jae-young had killed more than 1,000 newbies in the slime habitat, earning the title Friend of Slimes. When Jun Jae-young was wondering what use a level 1 affinity with the slime species could have, another pop-up window appeared. Plausibility has. Spends days meticulously reading each book. This is one of the secrets behind his rise to the top of the server rankings. However, reached the minimum threshold. You have formed a cooperative relationship with the slimes and can use plausibility to help the slime species. Help with what, exactly? Sense looked at the slimes and their information window for a moment. Then, he glanced at his plausibility score of 1025, and a wicked idea sparked in his mind. This game is truly insane. To think plausibility could actually be used like this. In the next second, Jun Yeon clicked confirm, using all 1025 plausibility points. Utilizing his hidden class, the Bard of Anarchy, he channeled all of that plausibility into the slime. An instant later, a beam of golden light shot towards the sky, illuminating the entire forest. A pop-up window announced that the entire staver base capacity of the slime species had been altered. All the slimes in the novice village had been upgraded to level 15. Wild monsters are a part, essential to the game, acting as a training ground for novices to hone their skills. However, while a level 1 rookie has 100 health points, a level 15 slime now possesses 150 attack points. Newbies logging into the game for the first time often consider slimes to be perfect practice targets, unaware that these seemingly weak slimes are incredibly powerful. A level 1 rookie, merely touched by a slime, would immediately face death, receiving a 24-hour login restriction penalty. Also, from that moment onward, the NPC librarian can't help but laugh, thinking this person is simply feigning diligence to fool himself. After reading book number, Town of Novices descended into chaos. The roles of hunter and prey were permanently reversed, with the rookies, not the slimes, now being the ones they were being hunted. But this was exactly what Jun Yeon wanted to see, because each rookie killed by the enhanced slimes increased his plausibility score. Furthermore, the slimes, originally passive and less prone to attacking, now actively hunted the rookies due to their enhancement. The characteristics of the slimes' attacks had changed due to the enhancement, leading Jun Yeon to wonder, so their plausibility score essentially changed the game, right? Maybe this skill was more complex than I had imagined. But then he thought, isn't this exactly what makes the game fun for me? In just 2 hours, his enhanced slimes had killed more than 3,000 rookies. This efficiency was 4 times what Yun Ha-young had achieved previously. It seems that the novice binding task is meant to tell me to keep strengthening the slimes, and then rely on them to accumulate a large amount of plausibility, right? But when Jun Yeon tried to use plausibility to further enhance the slimes even further, the system suddenly indicated that the enhancement had failed. Well, the efficiency is high enough now, so little ones, the grinding task is yours to handle. Meanwhile, the Arcadia's story planning team was in turmoil, but the team leader was convinced that Arcadia's current situation was not due to a 100. The protagonist asks the NPC for the second volume. At that moment, it appears as though the NPC is being overridden by the intelligence of the highest authority. System error. After all, this was a world calculated using cutting-edge modern technology, where everything proceeded according to the established plan. So, he decided, login. Level 3 access confirmed. Executive identity of Kanan Mian verified. Entry permitted. However, the team leader did not log into the Arcadia game world. Instead, he went to consult with Alice, the game's artificial intelligence center. On the other hand, Junon logged into the game, ready to check on his harvest. However, he discovered that the slime forest was completely empty. A total of 9,640 rookies had been hunted. Junon was clearly dissatisfied with the result, suspecting that news of the danger in the rookie village had spread online, even attracting adventurers above level 15 to hunt slimes there. In short, the bonus was gone. Although the rate of the rise had slowed, but it hadn't stopped completely. Not until Yu Junyoung's death count reached exactly 10,000. A pop-up congratulated him on eliminating 10,000 rookies and awarded him the title of Beginner Killer. Congratulations, you have exceeded the set task reward, and an intermediate reward chest is being cleared ahead of schedule. That's a pleasant surprise. Let's see what's inside the chest. As Junyoung clicked to claim the chest, a surge of dark power suddenly erupted from it, and a terrifying dark spot confronted him. She subconsciously takes out the second volume from the storage. Junon is puzzled as to why this second volume was stored separately, but the AI-controlled NPC, the surrounding space began to crumble and disintegrate. Could this black orb be the reward? A crack appeared in the center of the black orb. In the next instant, the crack tore through the orb, and a wave of destructive force spread outwards. A demonic shadow emerged from the fissure, its innate killing intent instilling a profound fear. Its deep and raspy voice couldn't conceal the malice and cunning etched upon its face. Who are you? You, daring to summon me? Yun Ha-young's very cells vibrated with excitement. Just what had he invoked? with such an imposing presence. Upon identifying the demon, Yun Ha-young's pupils dilated. His visitor was none other than the chaotic ruler, Satan, the Demon King himself. Satan, with a diabolical smile, said, "It seems I cannot be summoned in my complete form, but this will suffice. Even this small amount of power is enough to obliterate all of those angels." But when Satan saw the human, the air suddenly went silent. What the hell? Why do I look like this? Being this small is an insult. For me, the Demon King, you were summoned when I just opened a game chest. The game says, you are a summoned demonic servant. Satan was astonished. I, a great demon king, have been contracted as a demonic servant. This crazy guy didn't even discuss it with me before sending me here by force. There's a pile of things waiting for me in the demon world. Jun Yeon is hiding the frantic demon. Is this guy really Satan, the Demon King? Controlled by AI smiles, saying, "This is a special book that only appears when someone actively requests to borrow it." Junin feels a sudden wave of suspicion. Satan murmured, "It's almost finished, and yet this happens." Utterly speechless. "Human, listen carefully. No matter what, I am now bound by a contract. Forced to be at your service, I will accompany you for a while. Since I'm already here, I might as well make the most of it." Just then, Satan perceived Jun Yeon's abilities and immediately became excited, sizing him up and exclaiming, "Jackpot, you really have such capabilities." Jun Yeon, too, was puzzled, and just then, a pop-up window appeared, stating, "You can use plausibility to unleash the power of the demonic servant, but be careful not to be deceived or seduced by the demon." Satan began to negotiate with Jun Yeon, saying, "You possess the power to change the rules. If you give it to me, I can fulfill all your wishes." Jun Yeon suddenly thought about plausibility. Could this guy really be desiring this value, and what he mentioned about changing? Plausibility really has such a use, Satan said confidently. Anyway, the use of this power is limited in the hands of a human. Combining according to Satan's words, upgrading the entire species of level 1 slimes to level 15 is, in fact, changing the rules to a certain extent. But when I wanted to improve the slimes again, I couldn't take it any further. Even a character of the Demon King's caliber covets this value. It seems that plausibility is truly a special item. If I give you plausibility, what can you do for me? Satan casually waved his hand, unfolding a magic circle made of. However, the moment his finger touches the book, the scene changes. Inside the holographic game's internal system, the highest level AI, Alice, suddenly, old patterns. The next second, a purple-black cloak appeared out of thin air. A pop-up message appeared. Level 150 equipment, the Lament of Nardole, capable of protecting its wearer from a fatal blow. Incredible, absolutely incredible. The national server opened later than other servers, and the first player in the global level ranking is only level 50, and because I changed classes, I don't even have a level system anymore. I might not even be able to equip this, but Satan took it as, obviously this little thing won't satisfy you. After all, you are a human who has made a contract with a demon king. At that moment, a light bulb went off in Jun Jae-young's head. Although he didn't need equipment, he still had a problem in mind. Can you help me to improve monsters? Satan was baffled. I am a demon king. What kind of monster do you want to improve? Slimes? Can you help me improve slimes? That is a little beneath me. Human. Then, Satan erupted in maniacal laughter. Truly a madman. Because the word impossible isn't in my vocabulary. So how much plausibility are you planning to grant me? Jun Yeon negotiated. I'm going all in. Okay, then the contract is established. A magic circle, 10 times, more complex than before, unfolded beneath Jun Jae-young's feet. Rivers of destruction descended from the sky upon the slime forest, and the ground began to crumble and break apart. The slime species in the forest suddenly went berserk, their inner hatred awakened, transforming them all into dark slimes. The players experiences a multitude of pop-up windows, and the hidden quest in the beginner village is now activated, designating this player as the subject. Terrified, watching helplessly as countless slimes swarmed them. They thought they were doomed, but the slimes they hurriedly began to converge in one direction. Once all the slimes arrived at the designated location, they began to liquefy in order to give birth to a great king who could lead their species. The server's first level 100 boss, the Slime Queen, was born in this way. Meanwhile, all the players in the SCDO newbie village simultaneously received a pop-up message. The slimes, the most peaceful species, had inexplicably suffered at the hands of the players. After enduring this countless times, they finally erupted. Some players, who had just been released from a 24-hour death penalty, logged in, only to be sent back to their respawn point once again. The protagonist looked at the Slime Queen, born as a result of his actions, completely bewildered. "What exactly did you do, my little one? I only asked you to help me strengthen the slimes, not create a boss for me," the Demon King Satan explained proudly. "I simply awakened his spirit of revenge, and it resulted in such an effect. Creating a monarch was his own spontaneous action, stemming from the 8,000 plus points of plausibility that you gave me. I assigned less than 3,000 to the slime species." Jun was silent, thinking to himself that only this amount of plausibility could allow a seemingly insignificant species to evolve to such a point. It seems that this is where the true power of plausibility lies. The entire permanently delete his character from the game. As it turns out, this is a revolutionary holographic game where in-game gold can be exchanged for analysis. The first volume, read by Jun Yeon, contained the story of the adventurer Ideal's hidden treasure, the location of which is unknown. Rookie Village, due to the appearance of the Slime Queen, was forced into a desperate fight against the onslaught of slimes. At this moment, everyone, players in the Novice Village, all received the same main quest, Forgotten Darkness, which was activated by a quest related to the Wrath of the Wan, Slime. Victoria's mission is to protect the Novice Village and defeat the Slime Queen within 7 days. If the village's Guardian Stone is destroyed, the mission will be considered a failure, and the Novice Village will be permanently destroyed. Seeing the first level, 100 boss, all the rookies were terrified. However, observing the chaotic state of the Novice Village, Junin decided to hold back his troops. Then, Satan suggested, simply destroying the Guardian Stone silently, and that would be the end of it. Jun Jae-young's response was, "Let's wait and see." Satan began to speculating he plans to break the glass at the last moment of the countdown. "You're almost as evil as me." Actually, that's not quite the case, because ever since the Slime Queen appeared, Jun Ha-young's system pop-up messages haven't stopped appearing. "Congratulations on killing a rookie. You gain 1 plausibility point." In just a few minutes, he had accumulated an unknown amount of plausibility, but Yunha also needed to make a decision. So, between the players and the player monsters, which side could he gain the most benefits from? At this moment, the official internal staff was sitting in a meeting room observing this, but it is certain that this object originates from the most ancient trace of darkness. The second volume he just borrowed clearly indicates its location. Battle Unfold. The level 100 Slime Queen has skills like Ruler's Roar and the never-before-seen Leap, but her defining characteristic is continuously generating relatives who hate players. The minister was immediately taken aback. The server must be taken offline. Immediately, how could a level 100 monster possibly appear in a novice village? Even the lead designer stated that they had never designed anything like that. "Monster. We need to file a protest with the main headquarters. Their isekai is fady policy is an abuse of power." The minister sank into deep thought. First, he must. The main storyline was suddenly activated, followed by the inexplicable rookie butcher mission, and finally, the slime's escape escalated into a siege for the survival of the novice village. Could this really not be a bug, but instead be triggered by the actions of a player? After all, Arcadia itself is a game with infinite possibilities, a statement that immediately gave all the team leaders pause for thought. After all, based on the discussion of the generation records, the mission trigger was very reasonable. Therefore, the minister. He decided that regardless of the penalties the mission entailed, it was perhaps also a result of the EA brain's logical calculations. However, on the battlefield where they were fighting the slimes, some players inadvertently protected an NPC guard, triggering the of Esdal's treasure, hidden in the vicinity of Lake Erune, which is near the beginner's village. In the next second, the protagonist is teleported to the hidden class conversion quest for Guardian. It seems that the slime's wrath not only brought fear, but also many hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. The awakening conditions for conversion. One must quell the Slime Queen's fury. Thus the siege battle raged on for 3 days and nights. Half of the 7-day time limit has passed. Some novices were harassed by the slimes to the point of quitting the game, but there were also experts in the national server. These high-level players, having heard the rumors, joined the battle en masse, forming special operations teams. When a character hunts more than 10,000 slimes, they obtain the title Most Dazzling Green Slime Butcher. This title grants an additional 40% damage against slimes, and a 30% immunity to their damage. As more and more players acquired the title, the slimes began to lose ground. Rookie players saw hope and rejoined the battlefield, finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. However, the protagonist, watching from a dark corner, he had accumulated a frightening amount of plausibility. The pop-up message showed that he had eliminated 32,576 rookies, with still a day and a half remaining in the mission time. Even Satan couldn't help but praise the elimination of 30,000 people. Truly a great battle, not bad at all. Such an evil human player is worthy of being a contract partner to a demon king. Looking at the more than shore of Lake Erune. After a lengthy observation, he finds no clues. Suddenly, a series of pop-up windows appear before him. Congratulations. With over 20,000 plausibility points remaining, the protagonist pondered how to maximize his benefits. Then, Satan was right. If he continued without doing nothing would probably lead to a win for the human players. After a moment of consideration, the protagonist's lips curled into a wicked smile. Evil. If that were the case, it wouldn't be any fun. So, Yunnan donned his cloak once more to conceal his identity. Satan noticed the bloodstains on the Pravidi layer. What kind of person was he before all this? Nevertheless, Jun Yeon muttered to himself, if I have to take a side in this conflict, I won't just watch. From the sidelines this time, I'm going to side with the slimes. He had already planned everything out in his mind. Only by doing this could he maximize his gains. Meanwhile, the minister arrived at Arcadia headquarters. Please stop the siege mission. Clearly, President Lemune disagreed. As the slime siege in the rookie village was reaching its climax. There wasn't a single slime left in the village, and the siege was just minutes away from ending. After all, they hadn't been able to break through the defense line of the national server experts all week, so a breakthrough was unlikely to occur. Miracle in the last few minutes. And in 10 more minutes, I'll be able to become the hidden class, Guardian. However, just as there were exactly 10 minutes and 0 seconds left until the siege ended, the sky above the rookie village suddenly turned blood red. The protagonist, Jun Yeon, now wearing a black cape, player decks for activating a B-level quest to locate the most ancient trail of darkness. According to the document, you must find and verify the black made his entrance. So, Slime Queen, let's begin together. In the next 10 minutes, all the rookies could only endure extreme fear. Whatever the Slime Queen did, a large number of novice players died instantly. Occasionally, she would also split into some slime soldiers. To participate in the massacre of the novice players, the fear of death finally erupted in the hearts of the novices. Some brave souls, they tried to awaken everyone's fighting spirit, but before they could even finish their speech, they were beaten to death by the Slime Queen. However, the Slime Queen was not completely invincible. The strongest adventurer on the national server opened all his microphones and shouted, "Everyone, just hold on for 5 more minutes and the siege will." The rookies seemed to find some logic in this, because as long as they could maintain the Slime Queen's aggro away from the Guardian Crystal, they had a chance to win the battle. Inspired by the #1 player on the national server, the rookie players began to shout encouragement. Even if it costs us our lives, we must give our all during these 7 days in the battle against the Slime Queen. The rookies attempted to use a Khan of Se, human wave tactic to block her advance, resulting in countless casualties. With only the last 10 seconds of Med's mission remaining, the Slime Queen still hadn't reached the range necessary to destroy the Guardian Crystal. Enraged, thousands of players were struck and disconnected, but the player's ancient trail of darkness at the bottom of Lake Erune, Jun Yeon believes that the current difficulty level far exceeds that of quests in the entire world. Rookies were ultimately able to defeat the Slime Queen. However, with only 7 seconds remaining until the end of the series, the #1 player on the national server, he did his best, spending all his mana to enhance the giant sword in his hands, then jumped towards the Slime Queen's head. But in the next second, a shield casually activated by the Queen sent him flying with a severe blow. But with only 3 seconds remaining on the countdown, the Dayhalf national server's #1 player, Rio, triumphantly declared, "We are the ultimate victors. The rookie village cannot be permanently destroyed." The highest level player, gravely injured, fell next to the crystal pedestal, and a miracle was not expected to occur. Unexpectedly, half a second later, the crystal guardian suddenly shattered. He turned his head in astonishment only to see a player with a black cloak fiercely stabbing a sword into the crystal. A scene I would never forget. Jun Yeon explained indifferently, "I'm sorry, my hand slipped." At that moment, a notification appeared throughout the entire server. The village's guardian stone had been destroyed. The protection mission had failed. and the novice village would be permanently destroyed. The number 1 player, on the national server, turned pale, unable to believe such an ending. After Yoon Jae-young took out the giant sword, completing the mission, he commented, "Fortunately, I didn't waste any opportunities to accumulate plausibility points. By the time other players arrived on the scene, it was already too late. The server was just completing a B-level hidden quest, which would soon make him the best player on the server." He jumped towards the surface of the lake, and then, player with the black cloak was standing on the broken crystal pedestal, seemingly proud of his achievement. As expected, Jae-young was bombarded with a barrage of insults, but he scoffed, remarking that they still had the nerve to talk like that. A pop-up message then announced that the rookie village had been destroyed. Subsequently, the slime queen transformed into a dark purple orb that exploded in the sky, spraying slime into every corner of the novice village. The slowly falling green slime began to rise, gradually forming into spheres. Could it be that these slimes are consolidating into slimes? It's impossible for monsters to spawn inside the novice village. Suddenly, 3 thick lightning bolts struck the novice village, and at the moment, as the slime dispersed, 3 giant, level 80 slimes appeared on the spot. A pop-up message announced, "Slimes, once underestimated by the players, have achieved final victory in their brutal struggle against humanity, successfully driving out all humans." In the very next second, the level 80 slimes roared triumphantly, but the creation of slimes was not yet complete, as they finally had their own queen, the level 100 boss. The slime queen was fully formed. Even Yoon Jae-young couldn't help but praise how impressive the scene was. At this point, the novice village was no longer human territory, but had completely transformed into the domain of the slimes. Simultaneously, all players received a notification. After diving 50 meters, he still couldn't see the bottom. The lake wasn't that big, so how could it be so deep? His diving skill rose to B level as "You have entered a level 80 hunting ground. Please proceed with caution." Before the level 1 to 15, players could escape from the territories were surrounded by level 80 slime soldiers awaiting their execution. Junon smiled maliciously. "I warned them to stop talking. After all, escaping is more." Moments after everything calmed down, Yoon Yeon prepared to log off and catch up on sleep, but he heard the buzzing of the slimes behind him. The slime queen, leading the charge, hugged her benefactor. Jun Yeon felt as if he had collided with a very soft marshmallow cloud. Then, one after another, the slimes overwhelmed him, generously expressing their gratitude. Queen Swan led all of her kin to prostrate themselves before Jun Yeon, showing him their utmost respect and gratitude with the most honorable etiquette. A pop-up message announced that he had, having received the title of Savior of Slimes and the Slime Crown as a reward. Jun Yeon was puzzled, wondering what use the crown had. In the very next second, the pop-up message cleared up his confusion. "Congratulations, you have earned 2,413 plausibility points. Furthermore, by equipping the crown, Jun Jae-young also received bonuses of +10 to strength, water attribute, +5 to intelligence, and +5 to physical resistance." He concealed these achievements, but before logging off, he realized that he would become the public enemy of the entire server if anyone were to see this. After bidding farewell to the Slime Queen, Jun Yeon dived more frequently. Not only did the depth of his dives increase, but his stamina also increased as well. Decided to bring the Demon King, Satan, to the next battle location, and then accumulate a significant number of plausibility points the following day. The news of the Arcadia beginner village's destruction made sports news headlines, instantly triggering an avalanche of complaints from countless players. However, Jun Yeon considered his actions to be quite justified, stating, "I'm just acting according to the game's guidelines. After all, my profession is Anarchy Bard, which exists to destabilize the game's balance." As news of the destruction of the beginner village spread, some users quickly found an alternative location. For the beginner village, a region called the Barony of Mikhail. The news spread like wildfire, reaching all the new players converged there to level up. Suddenly, the entire gaming commercial district thrived because of their arrival. Initially, it was a city with one NPC blacksmith, but within a week, it boasted thousands of blacksmith apprentices. However, the most terrifying thing was yet to come. All the blacksmith apprentices were new players who had changed their professions, each determined to become a master craftsman. However, they set up stalls selling poorly made weapons, relying solely on their ambition and misleading advertising. In such an environment, the iron ore that, however, Yunnan had dived 200 meters and still hadn't seen any trace of the lake bottom. and exhausted Yun Yeon, looking towards the setting sun, began to time. Originally sold for 10 copper coins was now being traded for 20 copper coins each. Some players wondered, why not? Extracting the ore themselves and selling it only led to ridicule from amateur blacksmiths, not to mention the 2-hour journey from the mine to the city took 2 hours, and the iron ore discovery rate was so low that it made them question their life choices. In short, it was better to let others mine while focusing on repairing equipment, which could improve skills and provide a lot of experience. Going to the mine himself was seen as a low-profit activity. Therefore, no player was willing to take on mining tasks. However, Jun Yeon sensed a great business opportunity when he overheard a conversation between the NPC blacksmiths on the roadside. The Lord has recently demanded a quota of mineral extraction, but even if we worked day and night, we wouldn't be able to meet the quota. Upon hearing the word Lord, Jun Jae-young's mind began to race. Jun Jae-young began to think rapidly. I didn't realize this city had such deep economic troubles. Maybe I can make a fortune off of this. Every time, Jun Jae-young was smiling devilishly. Even Satan knew he was probably plotting something. Yun Yeon approached the two blacksmiths with a cunning smile. Maybe he could help them solve this problem. At that moment, in Baroness Mikkel's office, the Baroness was sitting at her desk, deep in thought. Real US dollars, and if a player is fortunate enough to acquire a mythic-level item, selling it could provide financial security for. Think about giving up. Who would want to waste their time like that? It's only the first few days since the game's release, and other players are leveling up and fighting against. Thoughtfully, unable to understand how the price of iron ore had suddenly risen to 15 copper coins overnight. If this continued, the blacksmiths in the city would lose most of their profits, and there could be cases of forging at a loss. Furthermore, the market would soon be flooded with low-quality weapons, low-quality manufactured by blacksmith apprentices. Perhaps some measures needed to be taken. However, as soon as the blacksmiths, when they heard that Yun Jae-young was willing to take on a mining task, they immediately gave him a quota of 20 iron ores for him to practice without delay. Yun Jae-young headed to the Mount Tian mine, accompanied by the demon lord Satan, and entered the deepest, most hidden part of the mine. Satan seemed skeptical. Master, are you sure about this? And to think I spent 8,000 plausibility points to make me perform such a menial task. Driven. Thanks to Yunha's intelligence, Young received a pop-up message announcing a successful weapon exchange, granting him the Lair Destroyer equipment and its associated ability. His special ability allowed for accelerated mining and significantly increased collection rates, with a chance to extract rare minerals the moment that Jun Jae-young began. His determination to get rich was completely ignited. It's worth mentioning that the Lair Destroyer was remarkably powerful and highly efficient, causing a flood of mineral notifications throughout the mine. In less than 3 hours, Yunha Young's mining skill had monsters. While I have wasted so much time improving my diving skill, and most importantly, I have a monthly mortgage payment of 920, reached the highest level, not only increasing his character's stamina by 10 points, but also significantly increasing his mining speed and success rate improved, and crucially, he could now detect hidden minerals. After mining for 2.5 days, Yun Yeon had mined over 1,000 iron ores, more than 100 silver ores, 33 gold ores, and a few rare ores. However, possessing these minerals was only the second step in Yun Jae-young's plan to get rich. The third, and most critical step, involved the Mikkel barony, which was currently concerned about mining rates. If the Lord couldn't supply enough iron, the blacksmith workshops could face closure at any moment. Trade guilds from other continents might stop collaborating with them due to the low quality of the weapons in their eyes. Administrators believed the root of all problems was the influx of new players becoming blacksmiths. After all, the number of trainees had increased, but not the number of miners, which was the core issue in the city. Just as the barony was contemplating what action to take, next, a guard burst into the conference room, exclaiming loudly. The barony was perplexed as to why it was so boisterous outside. It turned out that at the entrance of the barony's mansion, thousands of minerals had been piled up, forming a small mountain: iron, gold, silver, and even rare. For the game capsule, Jun Yeon had hoped to pay it off by selling equipment he found in the game, but the hidden mission was designed specifically for him. Well then, magic crystal minerals. Yun Yayan had deliberately sold all of these minerals to the barony's mansion after just 3 days of mining. He had earned 3 gold coins and 10 silver coins, which was equivalent to about 500,000. If he continued mining at this rate, he could earn around $5 million. Within a month, This level of efficiency still wasn't enough to satisfy Jun Yeon's ambition, especially considering his game capsule alone cost 10 million, and it would take him at least 2 months of mining just to pay it off. To accumulate wealth quickly, he still needed to prepare a few things. The next, the NPC Barony took the initiative to seek out Jun Yeon. Before anyone could speak, Jun Yeon had already gained the favor of the Barony. Jun Yeon smiled, realizing that the Barony had finally taken the bait. Greetings, esteemed Barony. What brings you here today? The Barony. He introduced himself. My name is Mikhail, and I am the lord of this city. Would you like to join me for tea if you have time? A pop-up message inquired whether or not to accept the Barony's invitation. It was time to negotiate with the NPC. The Barony was surprised to hear that Jun Yeon had managed to extract thousands of minerals in just 3 days. Soon after, the Barony informed Jun Yeon about the city's economic problems, stemming from a shortage of iron minerals. Jun Yeon was already aware of this, but he still listened attentively to the NPC's explanation, knowing that it would surely trigger some. I just hope that the reward for the hidden mission is substantial enough. After a full 10 days, Jun Yeon finally pulled a necklace from the NC. Type of quest. Sure enough, the pop-up message appeared, exactly as Jun Yeon had anticipated. The mission, the Lord's Dilemma. Please, I helped the Lord increase the number of miners and improve mining production. Jun Yeon quickly clicked to accept the mission, then confidently pounded his chest and said sincerely, Lord Baronia, I came here specifically to resolve the mineral shortage in the city. However, I need to make some preparations first. If all goes well, we could see some initial results tomorrow. By completing these 4 steps, Jun Yeon had made significant progress in his plan to get rich, but what Jun Yeon needed to do next was even more crucial from a realistic perspective. Realistic. The Lord's Dilemma seemed almost impossible to solve, but Arcadia is, after all, a game, and the players definitely wouldn't get involved in it. Considering mining as a menial and unprofitable task, the first thing Jun Yeon needed to do was change the player's perception, so he set up a video call, called The Destroyer's Diary. The account's first video unexpectedly shot to the top of the gaming section's trending list. This was due to one simple phrase, you really can make money through Arcadia. The video opens with a scene inside the Mount Fion mine, a place unknown to most new players. Then, Jun Yeon showcased his earnings from just 3 days, making viewers drool over the dozens of lake bottom. Was this the mysterious artifact that Del Al had hidden at the bottom of Lake Erune? At the same time, a pop-up window announced gold coins he had acquired. New players, listen up. Initially, your mining skill starts at level F, and in just 1 hour, you can mine 20 iron ore, which amounts to 400 copper coins. So first, we need to improve our mining skills. This will not only improve our efficiency, but it will also give us the opportunity to discover rare minerals. Now that I have mining at level A, I consistently find a rare ore every day. The mention of rare minerals instantly captivated the new players. Let's get out of the mine. At the end of the day, let's sell the Batero minerals to the NPC merchants, and today's profits will be 1 gold coin and 82 silver coins, which comes out to 130,000. Jun Yeon's few words instantly ignited desire in people, even in those who were on the verge of quitting the game. Now they were connecting eagerly, as soon as the information about them being possessed spread, the online world was immediately thrown into an uproar. The mining efficiency shown in the video was, in fact, possible because Jun Yeon had exchanged trap equipment with Satan. However, he cleverly edited out these facts, making it appear as though earning money was incredibly easy. That afternoon, all the pickaxes in the entire town were bought up by new players, who uniformly equipped themselves and eagerly rushed to the mine. Seeing this, Baroness couldn't help but smile widely. Players who were previously as immovable as Nebuus were now anxiously heading to the mines. The diving skill had leveled up, stamina increased by 1 point, and water attribute mastery increased by 10 points. Congratulations to. So, Tex, what exactly did you do? Junon responded indifferently. I simply ignited their primal desires, but Lord Baroness, don't get too happy just yet. There are still 3 more steps before they will voluntarily remain in the mines at your disposal. First, reduce the miner's base salary to the minimum, and give them a certain percentage of the minerals mined. This will help eliminate the lazy workers who only inflate the numbers. The NPC Verona had a revelation. I never thought of that. Jun Yeon's casual probing was a test, and surprisingly, the Baroness lacked even basic economic concepts. But the Baroness had another concern. Even so, the price of iron ore remains very high, even doubling to 20 copper coins. Jun Yeon reassured the Baroness, there's no need to worry. Even if the prices are high, those who need it will still buy it. In fact, for master blacksmiths, even at 20 copper coins for iron ore mean the profit margins remain very significant. They haven't even raised their prices despite the increase in raw material costs. If anyone still thinks the price is too high, then let them extract it themselves. It's not natural for those who have resources to dig their own well. The Baroness felt as if she had achieved enlightenment, realizing there really is such a tactic in business. If you weren't an adventurer, I would hire you as my financial officer. However, Jun Yeon had prepared all of this, just waiting for the Baroness to offer her a reward. The host has completed the hidden quest and received the reward, the Shadow Necklace. This object contains the ancient trace of darkness, also known as the deepest trace. The next second, Jun Yeon placed a pre-written scroll on the table. The Baroness looked at the parchment, and Jun Yeon said, "My lord, this is a project proposal I wrote. Open it, and, you see, I guarantee your satisfaction. You know that a single person can only provide limited benefits. So how do we overcome this limitation? It's very simple. Leading a group is more effective than working as an individual. If the Lord Baroness agrees to give me 10% of the mine's annual income and transfer ownership and complete management methods for this project to you." Seeing the people's enthusiasm for mining, the Baron had no reason to refuse. Satan was curious about what else the project plan entailed. But Yun Jae-yong used a vivid metaphor. It's easy to climb the mountain, but difficult to come down. Mining is a truly thankless task. An ordinary player can mine, at most, 10 iron ore in an hour, and the reason I can mine rare ores is because I have the burrow destroyer equipment. Satan immediately understood. You're setting a trap for the newbies to fall into. But why should they waste their time mining minerals for you? Of course, there's a way to keep them interested. By selling entrance tickets to the supportants, mine, and the poor have nothing but time to spare. Those who can't afford the entrance tickets can pay with the minerals they mine. The price of a ticket is about 1 gold coin. Satan felt a chill down his spine upon hearing this. Who would buy such an importance? Ancient of Darkness, please consider carefully before using it. Junjan laughed bitterly, noting that the item's description sounded more like a threat. Expensive ticket? Not necessarily, because the message I conveyed is that mining is as easy as picking up money off the ground, so I'm not worried about it. Who aren't willing to pay a steep price to get in? Yun Yayan immediately flashed a sinister smile, saying, that way, I can just sit back and reap the rewards. The demon, Satan, felt that Yun Jae-yong Gantel was truly a demon in his own right, extorting others, without a shred of remorse. After giving it some thought, he still felt that this guy was truly meant to be his master, especially after watching the video of Yun Ha-yong. A new player rushed to the mine, only to be stopped by a guard who said, "Don't you know you need a ticket to mine here?" The young man was confused, replying, "This wasn't mentioned in the video. The situation at the mine must have changed." The NPC guard then proceeded to morally manipulate him. Made any contribution. You adventurers helped develop this mine. No work, no food, so it's not right to pay a usage fee. That makes some sense. How much is the entrance ticket? It's not expensive, only 30 gold coins a month, which is equivalent to a daily usage fee of 50,000. Terrified, the boy couldn't afford it. His dream of getting rich overnight was about to burst like a bubble. The guard immediately saw through the boy's thoughts, smiled slyly, and comforted him. "Don't be discouraged, young man. Judging by your equipment, I can tell that." Pop-up window appeared, asking, "Do you want to use the shadow necklace?" Junjin decided to press confirm. The same pop-up appeared again, and Yun. "You aren't rich, but our Lord has introduced a system for people like you. It's called Use Now, Pay Later. You can inquire about the quest. Details at the inquiry center." The NPC at the consultation center was strikingly beautiful, immediately causing the boy to lower his guard upon seeing them. The young man walked towards the consultation center. The NPC guard seemed to foresee a future where the boy would never return. Meanwhile, the sound of pickaxes hitting the rock echoed continuously throughout the mine, as everyone prayed to unearth a rare mineral so they could quickly pay off their entrance fees. Entrance fee. The NPC customer service representative flashed a strange smile. It's surprising that these players are willing to become into slaves. Easy to go up the mountain, difficult to come down. Surely, the Lord himself couldn't have conceived this scheme. Whoever devised this plan, he is truly a walking demon. Just then, Yun Ha-yong's interface appeared, displaying daily mining target of 10,000 iron ore achieved. Mission The Lord's Dilemma completed. Please find the Lord to receive your reward. Jung Jae-young was also perplexed. How? Did it happen faster than he expected? But at this moment, Jung Jae-young didn't have time to collect his reward, because Satan had taken him to a deepest part of Mount Phaon. It turned out that Satan had accidentally discovered an ancient relic beneath Mount Phaon. Although the place, Jae-young pressed confirm a second time. Are you really sure you want to use it? Yoon Jae-young's fingers were numb from repeatedly pressing. Looked as if it had been abandoned for a long time. The relic's door was surprisingly clean and shiny. Could there be something on the door? If so, what? Secrets lay hidden behind it. Even the demon Satan felt an anxious curiosity when Jun Jae-young knocked on the door. The magic of the seal activated. A suggestion. A pop-up appeared, saying, "Do you want to spend 15,000 plausibility points to break the seal in the face of the unknown?" Jun Jae-young did not hesitate. If not now, then when? Use plausibility points. After using the points, congratulations on discovering an unknown heavenly altar. Satan smiled broadly. Indeed, it relates to an angelic relic. Just as Yoon Jae-young opened the relic, the game officials were in an uproar. The intelligent brain issued a warning. A user has prematurely entered the Mount Phaon relic, contaminating 693 related tasks. As it turned out, Mount Phaon, it was the place where the first angel descended upon Arcadia, formerly celebrated as the majestic gateway to heaven. To safeguard the relic, mineral veins were generated in the surrounding area to draw attention away from it. But now that the players had prematurely opened the entrance to the relic, the ultimate consequence would be the corruption of the mythical quest, the Second Demonic Holy War. The Demonic Holy War was a brutal, life-or-death struggle between angels and demons on the Arcadia stage. Innumerable lives were sacrificed, and the entire continent suffered immensely. Had it not been for the intervention of their entire life. Even ore mined within the game can be exchanged for real gold and silver. Players with a knack for business manipulate the prices. Confirm. However, the pop-up window continued to dissuade them from using it. I said, "I'm sure I want to use it. Why are there so many?" World Tree. No creature in Arcadia would have survived the first demonic holy war. Meanwhile, Yi Jae-young entered the relic, prepared to search for treasures. Come on, master, let's empty out all the treasures inside. So, Satan, are you saying the treasure is inside this coffin? Because there's almost nothing. There is nothing else in the relic, just the coffin on the altar. It seems suspicious. So, little Satan, how do we open it? After trying to lift it for about 10 minutes, it remained completely still. There's no restriction on it, it's just that the lid is too heavy. Zhang Jiaon was simply a new player, and simply didn't have enough strength. The demon then mentioned that the coffin lid was also a rare mineral. Then, the greedy Yoon Jae-young immediately put on his safety glasses and then took out the burrow destroyer, naturally attempting to apply his mining technique to open the coffin lid, when the drill collided with the lid of the coffin, creating a loud bang. The lid broke open, and a pop-up window announced, "You have destroyed an ancient artifact." Unbeknownst to many, celestial beings are greatly impacted by the player's actions. His favorability with the heavenly kingdom has dropped to its lowest point. Title earned, Artifact Defiler. However, when Jun Jae-young saw what was inside the coffin, he looked at it with disdain. Aside from a tattered piece of clothing, there was only a necklace around the skeleton's neck. It hardly seemed like a significant treasure. Satan pointed to the skeleton, and confirmation windows. Her ambiguous words made Jun Ha-young shudder. Who exactly is talking to me? In the next second, said, Master, you are unaware. The necklace around his neck is the most valuable object in the entire mine. Just as Jun Jae-young picked up the necklace, a message appeared in the game, announcing, Congratulations, you have collected the glorious heavenly metal. A sacred aura will purify the impurities within you. As the holy light desperately flooded Jun Jae-young's body, the sacred form of the heavenly metal became more solid, until the apparition's facial features became clear. A surge of sacred energy, stronger than before, swept around him. He, the demon lord Satan, felt as if he was being torn apart by the holy light. Jun Jae-young felt as warm as if he were bathing in sunlight, just as the apparition was about to grant Jun Jae-young the hidden class, the Great Prophet. A flame ignited in Jun Jae-young's chest, seeming to declare its sovereignty in that time. The game issued a warning. You are not a player of the Sacred Series. A fatal system error has occurred, and the equipment will be disabled. Temporarily, Arcadia's virtual reality company will prioritize correcting the error and taking action. Young Jae-young broke out in a cold sweat. It seems that my original hidden profession is rejecting it. Anyway, the game company will resolve it for me, but that's all for now. What we are doing now would be called grave robbing in reality. If traces are found, I won't be able to continue in the game world. So, little Satan, a huge pop-up window appeared. Congratulations. You have changed your profession to the hidden class, Bard of Anarchy. Your level system has been reset, and always remember to clean up your tracks. Watching Yoon Jae-young take out the burrow destroyer, Satan got goosebumps. Do you plan to destroy everything here? Jung Jae-young revealed a benign smile, then began a frantic drilling. This should solve the problem. Just block the entrance will be perfect. Satan was astonished. No wonder you're my master. Later, Jun Jae-young arrived at Baroness Mikhail's mansion, ready to collect his reward from the Baroness. Jun Jae-young's arrival thrilled the Baroness, as she would no longer have to worry about the shortage of miners. Over the next year, he had contracts with 10,000 miners and would take 30% of their mining profits. How did you come up with this method? Actually, Jung Jae-young was only inspired by news stories about unscrupulous corporations. Compared to her initial encounter with the NPC Baroness, she now seemed to be entering the abyss of labor exploitation. After receiving 244 gold coins as a reward from Baroness Jun Jae-young, he was finally able to pay off his capsule. In the next second, the Baroness extended a sincere invitation. Dex, are you really not interested in starting a business with me? A pop-up message appeared, Baroness Mikhail's proposal. If you accept this partnership, you can enjoy the same rights as the Baroness. Looking at such an attractive offer, Yoon Jae-young was somewhat tempted. However, he declined, saying that he planned to travel throughout the continent. You have gained new attributes. Plausibility. A new quest has been updated. Seeing the quest, Yoon Ha-young's heart sank. The beginner quests of... The next second, the NPC Baroness handed over a letter of recommendation, saying, with this, you will at least gain some personal protection within the kingdom of Meru, and this letter. It's also part of the mission reward. But Jun Jae-young was puzzled. You mentioned personal security. Is there some conflict within the kingdom? The Baroness spoke frankly. Actually, the atmosphere within the royal family has been quite unusual lately. The king is old, but the prince who will succeed him to the throne is still very young. So radicals within the kingdom have begun causing trouble in an attempt to seize power. The worst of them is Duke Beren. That man has become the leader of the radicals, trying to turn the new king into his puppet. What's even more disgusting is that he's proposing to start a war with a neighboring country at this critical moment, completely disregarding the future of the nation. If you deliver my letter, a recommendation to Count Bracken, he will certainly put you to good use. But just as Yoon Ha-young resolved to avoid this kind of plot, it was already too late. A pop-up message appeared, indicating that a mandatory quest had been updated. Junon then saw that the mandatory quest could not be refused, and he was devastated. He wished he hadn't asked so many questions. Finally, Jun Jae-young bid farewell to Baroness Mikhail. And during journeying the entire journey, he reflected on the quest he had just activated. Even Satan, the demon himself, knew that human political struggles were particularly other people involve killing 100 slimes, but my beginner mission is to continuously kill newbie players for 7 days. Jun Ha-young. While problematic, but Jun Jae-young wanted to give it a try. After all, stirring up trouble was what could earn him the most plausibility points in this. The moment a pop-up message appeared, the capabilities of the glorious celestial metal have been fully adjusted. Congratulations, this metal has now become your conduit to the celestial realm. You will permanently be able to invoke the sacred power of heavenly glory, and Archangel Michael will descend to earth. It is well known that angels and demons have been adversaries since ancient times. However, now two beings of leader-level power had formed a permanent pact with Jun Ha-young. As soon as the divine pet met the demonic pet, they immediately wanted to fight to the death. Come on, let's fight just like the great demonic holy war from 1,000 years ago. First, wreak havoc on all living beings. Then, bring about the end of the world. Stuck in the middle, Jun Jae-young had to play the role of the angel's messenger and the demon's confidant. These two, as leaders of their respective factions, argued like neighborhood children. It turns out that in a great holy demonic war 1,000 years ago, Michael and Satan fought a decisive battle on Mount Fion. The angel had pierced Satan's abdomen. It was then that Satan noticed the Holy Spirit in the angel's hand, exclaiming, "Despicable bastard," using a sacred weapon called muspel, and Jae-yong had read this story in the library. At that moment, Michael flew to Yunha's side, saying, Jae-yong, I can feel the cursing. He frantically pressed the delete character button. However, a pop-up window indicated that the game character was power you possess, but if that power falls into the hands of that despicable bat, it could be very dangerous. Therefore, to prevent you from being swayed by the sugar-coated bullets of sin, allow me, Miguel, to become your guardian angel and guide you down the path of light. However, Satan laughed. Ha, you fools. As the leader of the demons, I can guarantee that the human standing before you is more evil than any devil. In fact, Jong had to concede the point. After all, his profession, the Bard of Anarchy, grows stronger by disrupting the world. So, everything I do in the game unintentionally aligns with the evil faction. After all, that's the only way I can gain enough plausibility to change all the rules. The angel Michael didn't see it that way. Human nature is fundamentally good. The mission of the angels is to awaken the dormant goodness within their hearts. Seeing Miguel being so proactive, Satan immediately realized that this guy had ulterior motives. So, Miguel, I'm letting you stay for my master's sake, but don't even think about sharing his plausibility points. Miguel laughed sincerely at me. Don't think you can monopolize the master's points of plausibility. Listening to their noisy fight, Jong Jae-yong called out to Miguel, Little Miguel, you know that, whether you're angels or demons, this world always works because of you guys. Since we're talking about credibility, I'll ask, what can you offer me if I give you credibility points? Reciprocity, permanently linked to the hidden class, and deletion failed. Jun Jae-yong's reason for wanting to eliminate his character was simple. The Bard of is also a common principle in the heavenly realm. There are actually various weapons in the heavenly realm that can help humans, but the Yunha-yong's current weakness is his character's combat ability. So, little Miguel, can you provide me with some combat skills? Although the Bard of Anarchy can manipulate plausibility to alter the rules, he lacks offensive capabilities, and there isn't even a leveling system in place. For this character, Yunha-yong's mining and diving skills are useless in combat. Even though equipment can be exchanged through Satan, it doesn't compensate for my lack of combat skills. At that moment, Miguel considered the best way to increase his power. A pop-up message appeared. The census skill, Divine, has been generated. You can use plausibility to temporarily borrow power from the heavens. This power is limitless, but it is closely tied to the plausibility points provided by the master. After learning how to use it, Jong Jae-yong was eager to activate the Divine Census skill and test its power. In the next instant, holy energy soared into the sky, and even the demon lord Satan was pushed back by the power of the sacred aura. The entire forest was illuminated with holy light, and the wild beasts deep within the forest immediately felt the presence of an enemy. Brothers, follow me and attack, Miguel explained. Master, this divine descent skill allows you to request anarchy. Not only did his hidden class lack a leveling system, but it also came with such bizarre quests. A leveling system is fundamental, borrowed strength from ancient heroes who once fought valiantly for the heavenly kingdom. For example, the noble knight Faran, the great wizard of Merlin the divine archer, Parcel, and the great thief Morphin. Doesn't this mean that Jun Yeon now possesses the skills of 5 different professions? Different. Just then, several half-orcs walked through the forest. It would be a waste not to use Jun Jae-yong's left eye, which was burning with holy light, and the opportunity that presented itself. Divine Descent activated. Jun Jae-yong chose the heroic soul of the noble knight Faran. He also had a title, the Demon Crusher of Demons, because the demonic blood on the tip of his sword never dried. Countless lives had been saved behind his shield. The demons only had one destiny when facing him, to be incinerated and purified amidst terror by the great sword that carried sacred light. The moment Divine Descent, Faran's sword and shield were activated, appearing in Junha-yong's hands, Satan's eyes widened, as no demon dared to fail to recognize the weapons in Junha-yong's hands. Divine Descent, as the name suggests, imbues its wielder with the power of a deity. Judging by Satan's reaction, it was clear that Faran was considered a demon among demons in the eyes of the underworld. I have been waiting for you, my sharpening stones. The half-orcs hesitated upon seeing this power. What kind of power was this? These creatures had gained intelligence. Why didn't they attack? For any game, without it, growth stagnates. Although it doesn't significantly affect combat at the beginning of the server, with the provocation, It was possible that the boss monster of this forest, a level 25 half-orc, was among them. Then, when the half-orc leader, he swung his sword in the next moment, Jun Yeon simply unfurled the divine shield in his hand, which immediately melted the orc's greatsword. A pop-up message appeared, activation of the will that never retreats. This supreme power feels really good, big guy. Now it's my turn to attack. With the conviction of justice and the sparks of dawn illuminating the sky, he dispelled all darkness in the world. Now, one could truly say that Yun Ha-young was Percival himself. The half-orcs were terrified by the holy light. Zhang Hong, drunk with power, couldn't contain himself. I'll cut your heads off right now. The great sword swung, dazzling like a shooting star, and the half-orcs were reduced to dust. A message appeared, announcing that the ability, Divine Descent, had been deactivated. He began calculating the player's duration and expenditure. You have used 352 plausibility points. At that moment, the night, it was clear with a bright moon. Junha extinguished the holy light that possessed him and returned to his original form, facing a level 25 monster. It was a complete overpowering. However, Miguel was stunned by the scene. Even though it was a divine descent, the power was incredibly strong. Could a human body truly withstand such force? Suddenly, Miguel realized something. So, that's it. His lips curved slightly. Creator, I finally. Time. The gap between him and other players would become insurmountable. He began to regret his decision. He should have stopped when that lunatic started saying, "Understand why you sent me here. This human is the one who can change the course of the world. I, Miguel, will closely monitor his every move." While both Zhang Jiayong looked worried. For him, the only disadvantage of Divine Descent was its cost, because right now, a mere 5 minutes of Divine Descent, they had consumed more than 300 plausibility points. If he faced a difficult enemy, the consumption of plausibility points could feel like a bottomless abyss. Bottomless. Yong Jaeyong then turned his head and looked at the divine and demonic pets who were seemingly fighting. These two guys could actually sleep peacefully together. But I should sleep too, especially since tomorrow I have to go to the kingdom of Meru to carry out that mission. Recently, the political situation in the kingdom of Meru has been tumultuous. The king is too old, and the prince is too young. The nobility within the kingdom is causing trouble in an attempt to seize power. The worst offender is Duke Beren, who is leading these radicals to destabilize the king. Quickly, he has proposed going to war with neighboring countries. At this critical moment, his actions are solely aimed at embezzling supplies and military funds. After all, as a duke, he can mobilize the entire military force of the Meru kingdom. Due to its geographical advantage, the kingdom of Meru has become a hub, international trade. Several large trading companies operate here, and the profits are quite substantial. I wonder, am I bringing so much of the market, analyzing supply and demand relationships to maximize their profits? So, when the last game capsule in the world finally arrived, Jun Yeon did not. Foolishness. Zhang Jiayong lay back, gazing at the simulated sky in the game, lost in his thoughts. Waiting will not resolve anything. Trade that none of your company's bosses have come to receive me? Does the GM company look down on NPCs? Respected merchant, this NPC is pleased to be received by me, the assistant manager. I apologize, but our company president is currently in a meeting with the Duke, and inside the residence, the Duke was none other than Duke Beren. Mr. Choi, I believe you've already surmised that the kingdom of Meru will soon be at war with the kingdom of Parcel. As the head of the GM business group, you should understand what's at stake here. Choi Jeju is keenly aware that this NPC Duke, poised to ascend the throne, could bring him millions in profits, as the perfect partner. It turns out that Choi Jeju is the youngest son of the GM group's chairman. However, he couldn't handle the difficulties of entry-level positions. Every position he took ended poorly, and he was often severely reprimanded by his father. The GM trade guild within the game. It was founded by this son, who loved gambling, and was initially established purely for profit. Now, the opportunity to finally gain his father's approval. He appeared before Choi Yeju and said, "Then, Duke, we will purchase large quantities of grain. Soon, I will need your help to negotiate a good price with the king." "No, there is no problem. I will also ensure that our Kingdom of Meru officials give their utmost cooperation to the GM Guild. The reason I came to seek help from a guild made up of players is simple. Just make sure you don't attract the attention of the NPCs." At this moment, Choi Yeju's heart was beating rapidly. Everything is a hidden class, so there must be other uses for it. Junhan searched his status bar for a long time, but only found one difference compared to the others. The Choi Yeju's opportunity to rise in his father's estimation was about to arrive. He needed to raise funds quickly, like a duke intent on emptying the national treasury. Becoming king was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If this deal goes through, the entire economy of the Arcadia server could end up firmly in our group's hands. Group, GM, wait, father. I will use this game to demonstrate my business acumen, the addition of a plausibility value. But what exactly is the use of this thing? After achieving a mental breakthrough, a pop-up window appeared, explaining that plausibility is a consumable resource. The more points consumed, the stronger the host's ability to interfere with this world becomes, even to doth. The point of artificially bending the laws of the world. To initially accumulate plausibility, one must complete the recent class change mission. Class change mission. Therefore, killing novice players will impact the game's operation, naturally accumulating plausibility. Just as the protagonist, he was about to draw his sword when someone else stepped forward. What a shame. It could have been a fatal blow. 3 players with red names stood there. They stepped forward in front of the rookie, smiling in a threatening manner. Hello, newbie. I am the master of this hunting ground. You are hunting here without permission. After hearing this, Jun Yeon was taken aback. The game had just been released, and there were already people monopolizing areas in the beginner village. The players, with red names, then threatened him. Judging by their accents, they must be from Seoul. Plus, they were talking about a mock exam, so they must be students. He couldn't wait to log in. His character's nickname is still Dex. As the Arcadia game begins, Yoon is transported to the beginner village. Just by searching their usernames, we could easily find out where they live, so if you don't want to get killed, stay away from this hunting spot. The appearance of monsters caused the students to immediately seek help from nearby players, only to be met with indifferent stares. A student, he tried to argue, it's just a game, is it really necessary to go this far? The bullies paused for a second, then erupted in laughter, saying, you're right, what a fantastic game, free from all legal restrictions. Isn't this world all about the survival of the fittest? Suddenly, with a swift strike, the bully's leg was severed from his body. This was because Yoon had regained his senses. You guys may be trash, but I think you're absolutely right. One after another, Yoon's execution skills were unleashed with incredible precision. His movements were fluid, almost as if man and machine were one and the same. Level 12 players with red names were instantly killed and expelled from the game by the system the moment the sword of the way. The protagonist was unsheathed. His beginner game ID was changed. The player town never turned green again. A pop-up window congratulated him for earning 3 plausibility points, just as Jun Yeon had predicted. Each head granted 1 plausibility point. Although he didn't know how to use them, collecting them wasn't easy. Just then, the students, as if they had found a savior, said, thank you for. The national server has recently launched. However, the beginner village is already overcrowded. Here, teams are forming. Saving us. We truly don't know how to repay you. Yoon Jae-young's expression was calm and aloof. There's nothing to thank me for. After all, I still have. I have to kill you, my friend. Don't be sad. Like you said, it's just a game. In the next second, 2 student players were killed by Yoonha. With a single strike of his sword, Young increased the plausibility by 2 points. Yoon turned and smiled at those behind him, saying, well, now it's your turn. Viewers, you shouldn't have any complaints, right? After a dozen screams, the entire forest fell silent. From that day on, a rumor circulated in the official Arcadia site that a true madman had appeared in the beginner's village of the national server. The night, which was an efficient time for newbies to hunt slimes in the forest, also became the fastest place for Jun Yeon to hunt new players, in order to the holographic game that felt closest to reality. Character visibility was severely limited at night, and characters could even trip over stones while running, which would trigger a state of reduced movement speed. At that moment, the rookie player was no longer the hunter, but the prey being pursued by Jun Jae-young. The dangers hidden in the shadows are often the deadliest. As the days went on, any newcomer who saw Yoon Jae-young was terrified. Now, the roles of hunter and prey were no longer fixed. The fear of being hunted permeated the entire forest. The rookies didn't understand why. To level up and obtain materials, as well as various items. The first mission for newcomers is to defeat a slime. However, the precise controls, and the only answer they received was his swift swordsmanship. Are you doing this so early after the game's launch? I don't think the company, Jung Jae-young stopped his massive sword to prevent the game from interfering, saying, I'm definitely going to the official site and reporting you. Jae-young spoke righteously. Can't you see who's behind this? The green-haired player was left speechless. Without giving him time to think, his character was decapitated and kicked out of the game by the system. Congratulations on eliminating a rookie, earning 1 plausibility point. Jun Yeon glared coldly. Having accumulated plausibility points, he turned his head and yawned, because hunting newbies day and night was truly exhausting. In Arcadia, the penalty for death in the game resulted in a 24-hour login restriction. But at that moment, Arcadia's customer service department was overwhelmed, with calls flooding in from hundreds of customer service representatives since morning. Furthermore, all the players' complaints revolved around the same individual. The team leader, his face etched with frustration, announced, "Everyone will be working overtime today. We need to soothe the players' emotions right now." Jung Jae-young had been hunting in the game for 2 straight days and nights. So far, my plausibility rating has reached 1025. I wonder if it's really okay to be hunting rookies like this. Besides, this is an official mission I was assigned, even though there are still 4 days left to complete it. No problem. Your game operations department has nothing to do with me anyway. In a virtual reality game are quite challenging, so the game provides 3 basic skills to help newcomers. Just then, a humming noise emanated from Slim's forest, and the group approached Yoon Ha-young, and the next second, a system notification popped up. You have rescued the slimes in crisis. Your affinity with the slime race has increased. In the next moment, a surprised Jun Ha-young was swarmed by a friendly squad of slimes. Jun Yeon was actually enjoying it. I may not be popular among people, but getting along with you guys isn't so bad either. However, several torches suddenly appeared in the dark jungle. While Young Jae-young overheard the voices of some players, he gently stroked the slimes' foreheads and said, "Little ones, you'd better leave." It turned out that the green-haired man who got married yesterday returned with his roommates and patrolled the forest all night, finally spotting that familiar figure. Brothers, come on. That man in the black robe was buying time for the slins to escape, and June ran in the opposite direction until he saw a flash of light ahead. When he arrived, he discovered it was the edge of a deep cliff. 5 players immediately blocked his path. The one with green hair said triumphantly, "Looks like the fish in the pot can't escape now, right, boy? Watch me humiliate you." Jun Yeon sneered contemptuously and decided to fall backward off the cliff, choosing to jump, as the 5 of them watched. This guy must be really crazy. However, while Jong